Okay, successful Luna 3 mission. First time as well, not bad. And a sort of free return trajectory, which we won't quibble about that. Okay, so next up for historical progression is Discover 13. So Discover 13 was now I actually looked this up. It weighed about 600 to between 6 and 700 kilos. And it contained a camera package, and also was the first man-made object to come back from orbit. It beat the Soviet similar mission by, I think, about 9 days, I believe. That's not important right now. Alright, so August the 10th, 1960. It was launched the day before, and it came back obviously the day after. So it was launched on August the 10th, and it was recovered on August the 11th, just north of Hawaii, according to the information I've just been reading. It was launched on a Thor powered first stage and an Agena powered second stage. Now the Agena uses starboard propellants. It was actually 1960, so we are 5 years ahead of schedule, and it's early 1955 as well. This is quite late on, and it's August 1960. Alright, so I'm going to try the Thor launcher, or the Thor powered launcher, very similar to the Atlas. So that's going to be fun. Okay, so Discover 13, unmanned, incomplete, reach orbit incomplete, and return home safely. So we need the heat shields. Now that's why, this is the main reason why we covered the heat, that actually unlocked the heat shields in the R&D building. Because I knew this mission was coming up. Well, we've already had this. Yeah, reach orbital speed and return safely to Earth. Now you can't do that on a ballistic trajectory. In other words, directly straight up and then back down again, but a heat shield needs time, a spacecraft needs time to decelerate. So the longer you stay in the upper atmosphere, as in the more shallow your return line is, your return trajectory, the longer you've got to decelerate before you get into thicker part atmosphere and overheat and blow up. Of course you've got time also is a problem, because the heat shield will be being depleted all the time there's heat being applied to it. So even in the upper atmosphere you're still getting heat. So there's an ablator there on the heat shield. That ablator will be used up. That's the only problem when you use it too shallow. There's too shallow and there's too steep. Both are pretty bad. Alright, so I'm going to take Discover 13. There's no time limit on this. So advance is 318,550. Completion is a further 637,100 in front, 5 signs and 15 reputation. And if we fail, we only lose the deposit. So we just get taken back. We just lose what we've already just been given for an advance. Now, a number of Discoverer missions, part of the Corona photo reconnaissance program run by the CIA, was actually also the first polar orbits as well. So I'm not entirely sure whether the Thor Agena will have enough lift capacity, exactly the same way as the lift capacity was questionable at the time of the launches being used as well. But I do know Discoverer 2 was actually launched, I believe it was launched polar, although I may be getting mixed up with Poppy. There was Poppy 1 and Poppy 2. They were very similar missions. But I'm going to do this as stated. It'll be an equatorial. I wouldn't exactly say equatorial. It won't be equatorial in the same way as matching the phase. of the moon or anything like that, but I'll launch it towards the east. I won't go polar. I don't think Discoverer 13 was polar, which is unusual because, as far as I know, because the satellites are put in polar orbits on, or close to polar orbit. But I'm going to do this as I see fit here. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to push it. So I mean, this is a polar orbit. Achieve polar orbit with an inclination between 85 and 95 degrees. Obviously 0 would be in line with the equator. It shouldn't be if you're talking about magnetics. That's what confuses a lot of people. That's what confused me a lot when I first started sort of playing KSP with these contract packs. They don't really explain. I mean, 0 should be magnetic north and 90 degrees, exactly the same way as the console works in remote tech. You go 90 degrees, which point that's along the equator. 180 would be south, and then towards the solar, as in towards the south pole. And 0 should be towards the north pole, and 270 should be towards the west. But that's not how this works. The inclination here is actually towards the south. So basically, this is making out that you have to head towards the south pole, not the north pole. Well, it just depends on how you interpret the information. Alright, so down at the bottom we've got Venus flyby, Mars flyby. But that's about 2 years to complete that, so within 20,000 kilometres and transmit signs. There's absolutely no way we've got the range to do that yet. Mars and Venus are pretty much similar as far as distance is concerned, as in the tech to reach them. So we won't be trying that one. So we've got lunar flyby. I'm going to wait for that. So we've got a bit of standby here. We have atmospheric analysis. That's actually quite interesting. 10,000 advanced, 30,000. But we're going to stick with, I need to do these communication sats as well at some point. So reach orbital speed and return safely to Earth. So I'm going to take this one, gives us a year, 365 days. And for that, it's pretty much actually above 150 kilometers, which is obvious. 140 kilometers is space, so 150 kilometers is not, that's fine. We have to reach velocity of 6,500 meters per second, or 6.5 kilometers a second. This ties in with Discoverer 13. So I'm going to take that 125,000 advanced, 109,517 on top of that for completion, 3 science and 12 reputation, and so we lose a little bit more down the advance. We lose a little bit of our reputation. So I'm going to accept that. That's accepted. Makes planes, first one satellite, atmospheric analysis satellite. So what do we actually need on this? Recover or transmit. Run a temperature scan and barometer scan and return the signs to the KSC. I could tie that in. No, we'll leave that because we want to tie these contracts in with historical progression as much as possible anyway. So that's the 2 of them. So that's Discoverer 13. I'm pretty sure it was Discoverer 2 that failed to actually achieve polar orbit. I'm sure it was a polar orbit. I'm pretty sure it was a polar orbit. Alright. Right, I'm going to go in to the VAB. I'm going to put this together. I'm going to just show what engines I'm going to use first of all. Then I'll get on with it and then bring you all back in once I've finished doing it, rather than boring you to death. So you just basically, I'm just going to be building a series of tanks with mods on the bottom of them. Nothing really all that special of the Thor Agena package. The actual vehicle itself is pretty simple. Alright. Okay, so the engines to be used is the LR79 series. Right, it's your Jupiter Juno 2 Power Jupiter Thor and Thor Delta rocket. So it powered Thor. So this is the first stage motor. And I could just use DLR 105s again, but they're used for Atlas. So there's the LR71 series there, and there's this LR71 series which looks remarkably different, but it's also known as S-3D, and the S3 is down here. There's the S3. We can take a look at them. So that's S3, it's not the S3D, but there's no other configs for the motor. So that's 758.7 kilonewtons in a vacuum. At the pad it was 667.226 kilonewtons. Engine high speed is 248 at sea level and 282 in a vacuum. Single ignition, kerosene, liquid oxygen, standard basic motor. So that's the S3, which can be used for Thor, the first stage of the Thor Agena vehicle that launched the Discovery program. I'll call it the Corona program because that's basically what it was. So it's either the LR79 MB-3, it's LR79 there, was also Thor able as well. So this motor looks very similar to the S3. In fact, it's very similar. I don't believe this has. It has. We have got upgrades for this. So we go with the 3-1, 3-2, or 3-3. Or 3-I, 3-II, or 3-III. So, what does that actually give me extra? 758, I'll go with 758.7. So it gives me about 2 points higher in kilonewtons in a vacuum. That gives a heck of a lot more power. But that is vacuum. The only figures you see at the left of here, the little window, gives you vacuum. Also gives you, it gives you ISP for both first on the pad at sea level, and the second figure that predicts to ISP 253-290. 290 is the vacuum, but it only gives you kilonewtons in a vacuum, so you don't quite know how much power you're going to get. So we'll check the top end one. Yeah, 866.7 vacuum. On this pad it's only 756.121. That's something you have to be careful with. So it's basically the LR79-NA7 again. So he's the NA7 again. exactly the same motor I was using for the Atlas. Oh no. Oh well. I mean, I could go. I'm going to try going polar. But I haven't taken the contract to go polar. So I'm going to pop back into mission control and take that contract as well. But I won't bother with that part. So that gives you 250, 290. We have 283.8. That's 285. 25. So I think 6.6. Just looking at the kilonewtons as well. That's only 760. So we'll go with this motor. Might as well use the upgraded motor rather than take a risk of it not having enough lift capacity to lift the entire thing. Also, I'm doing it the wrong way around because there's no avionics. And to use a motor as your root part, it's a bad idea. So that's the motor I'm going to use for the first stage. And the Agena, it lets me get to it. I've got several different types of aesthetics I can select. So I've got the Agena that is SSTU's, one of SSTU's motors, which is fully configurable. And you can do all sorts with these. I will show you. You can change mount diameter, layout, single, you got a double, triple line, quads, and on top of all that, go back to single. You can modify vertical positioning, you do all sorts. Mount diameter, you can also change select mount. So you can change it from what it looks like right now. It's a little bit, I mean that's a bit big for me. It's a bit big. You know, this section here. So you can go to none. Shroud type 3, there's all sorts. And you can go to bone section. We can go to skeletal, which looks good. I like those for second stages. Also, you can change the diameter as well. So that's a very nice sort of small package footprint for the motor, rather than the huge sort of default sort of looking like this huge thing for a tiny little motor. And you can change the mount diameter. It's no different than when you're actually putting things together yourself, but this is all in one package and you can actually do it. The only drawback, like I said before when I first mentioned SST's motor packages, is that Dangit will treat an entire motor. If you've got 6 motors on here, it will treat the entire 6 motors as a single unit and it will fill all of them. It won't just pick on one or the other. That's the only drawback, rather than using this, rather than using individual motors and fitting them yourself underneath a stage. But that is the only drawback. That is the only drawback. Alright, so I've got package there. That's the Agena again. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. No different. So I've got BA-7, so we already got one of the upgrades. Right now it's the BA-5, so go to the 7, the 11, 13, 39, so there's plenty to choose from. So right now we've got 67.0 kilonewtons and 24.275 at the pad. It won't be being lit at the pad. This is a pure orbital motor. But it's only got a single ignition. Then that uses UDMH IRFNA-3, which is basically stored propellant, but it still requires an ignition because it's got no third sort of ingredient propellant to cause the ignition. So it's only got a single ignition, and it's probably got some runtime limits as well. Yeah, 2 minutes. That's a 2-minute runtime. I've got to check that for this motor. So this hasn't got any. It's got no motor limit, no burn time limit whatsoever. It's probably got a runtime limit though. That's a shame. Now either you can think of it in one way or the other. It's either it's not able to lift as much as it can burn. So it can only, so let's say it burns for 8 minutes, but it can't lift 8 minutes worth of fuel. So at which point the burn time becomes irrelevant, so that's not even on here. Or it could also be the fact that we've got a hole in the configs. It's got TATB. So this could actually be used on the second stage, so can the other one. Obviously, the Agena can be used on the second stage, that's what it's been designed for. Alright, so that's the motors I've selected. It'll be either this one or one of the other packages. I think I'll go with the S3 actually, because I think the S3 has a burn time limit. No, it doesn't. So none of the S3s have a burn time. The S3 just basically is the LR79 just for a different launcher. No, so none of the S3s have burn time limits. Does this one? The LR79 here. Yeah, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. But that's the NA3. The others were NA5, I believe. So I'm going to use this motor instead, because it gives me 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Otherwise, I feel like I'm cheating. I'm probably not. It's probably exactly what I said. It can probably burn for a lot longer than the actual fuel it can lift. Okay, so I'm going to put that together. I'm just going to put the spacecraft together as well. And basically, Discovery 13 was very reminiscent of something rather like that. But instead of this top package here, this section here, this was a heat shield. This section was flat. Cameras is inside there, and on top of here was then a cap shield with the chutes. Quite a simple looking vehicle, but it was 700 kilos, so it's 1400 pounds, so I'm judging it's 2.2 pounds roughly to a kilo, so it's just over double or just under half. So I'm going to go with 600 kilos. This is only 11 kilos, so I'm not going to be using that. So I'm going to put my own thing together. It'll probably be using something like this. I hope I can shape this cone. I'll probably need to use, I've never attached it twice, so this has to come back. So I need heat shields. I also need the camera package on top as well. And the cameras used, interesting fact, this is just shows what the technology was like back then. The cameras used were 5 foot long, or 1.5 meters. I mean, that's pretty damn big. And as far as I know, there was only still images. Alright, so I'm going to get on with this. So I'm going to use that motor for the first stage, I need Agena motor for the second stage, and I'm going to launch polar. I'm going to see if I can launch polar orbits. If I can do that, I'll take the... Well, actually, no, I'm going to take the third contract, like I said. The polar orbit, first polar orbit contract. I'll come back in here, I'm going to put all this together and bring you all back in and show you what I've done. Okay. Okay, so this is Corona 13. I'm going to call it Corona 13 as opposed to Discoverer 13, because the Corona was the actual craft. Corona was actually the code name for the entire program. So the heat shield's on the bottom. Decoupler. I've got 3 chutes. It can lose one of the chutes, and the other 2 can actually should be able to bring it back. 3.6 meters if all 3 chutes work. It can survive up to, I believe, about 8-9 meters a second, as long as it sort of crashes, or sorry, lands back in the ocean. It should be able to survive losing at least 1 chute. Hopefully it doesn't lose any of the chutes. So I've got the 2 antennas, just purely for backup, and the 2 cameras, because the camera package was actually fitted in pairs, installed in pairs on the spacecraft themselves, in order to give stereoscopic view. You know, it's 3D-dimensional pictures, so it gives depth. Alright, so that's the spacecraft done. Obviously the fairing goes on the fairing goes around this, but actually, technically speaking, the Agena stage itself was actually like a self-contained spacecraft. There was no actual fairing around the spacecraft. It was actually just parts. This just has a nose cone on top of it. So I'll probably try something like that with a decoupler. So if I put a decoupler, I've left I've purposefully left this central. I've surface mounted all these components, just so I can do that. I've done that before. So I'm going to diameter down 1.25. Slightly odd. I mean, the heat shield is slightly not sort of goes in 1 meter, then 1.5, 1.2, and there's no way of actually tweak scaling. It doesn't seem to work on the heat shield, so I've had to make this 1.25 meters across in order to match it. Obviously the decoupler will come before this decoupler. We want to lose the nose cone before I lose the heat shield, obviously. Right, and something else I just forgot. You have to mount this upside down, otherwise it's going to remain. It'll decouple from the top. That's how all the decouplers seem to work. They're not like stack separators. Stack separators would float free, which is what this does. We've seen this do this in orbit already with previous launches. It actually floats through. That's actually not a decoupler, it's actually a separator. So the decoupler, that is actually wrong. It's not a decoupler, it's a stack separator. Right, so I don't think we've got any of the actual. Doesn't look like it. Same as these always remain on at least one of the parts. The core stage, you fit this to a core stage, these will remain fitted to the core stage. You only decouple the component that's attached to them afterwards, which is what this does. So this has to be upside down in order to decouple correctly. So I don't want this. I want this floating off with the nose cone. I don't want this remaining here because it will block the parachutes from working. And then we want a nose cone. Aerodynamics. And I'll use a procedural nose cone over the top of the. We'll leave it as white this side. No, we won't. I'll mess around with the textures in a moment. So I'll put rigid attachment, so that will stay attached to this decoupler. So when this floats free, this should float free. It will. It should. I'll put my teeth in. It should float free of this, of the actual avionics package, and that should fly off by itself, attached to the nose. So 1.25 again, going between 1.3. I see. Pretty sure I just selected one down. There we go, 1.2. Yep, too many. 1.25. Increase the length. That's no. That's about right actually from what the pictures are actually saying. So I'll go with, it was just a white nose cone. It was just a plain white nose cone. From what I can see, what I saw with the actual photographs, it's just basically like a nose cone with the package inside it, and the spacecraft itself was directly beneath it. So the Agena package was directly underneath it, with effectively a camera with a stack of cameras, an antenna, and a heat shield underneath. That's basically it, and the parachute was on top. So let me just check. Take this off here just for a second. Let me just check the centre of mass. Yeah, that might be a problem. So the heat shield doesn't actually weigh anything. Just how much? Yeah, it's only, well, mass 16 kilos. That's without the ablator. With the ablator, 96 kilos. That's not actually. I mean, you've got to have a spacecraft when it's coming to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. It's got to have heat shield first for obvious reasons. So the heat shield needs to be heavier. So that could be a problem. And I can't go put an RCS on it for obvious reasons. So I'm going to have to position this for re-entry using the Agena. And then decouple the Agena just before re-entry occurs. Just so the heat shield hits the atmosphere first. If it wobbles off, and it's quite, I want to say it's low enough to be perfectly honest. It's 485 kilos altogether. But that is with the nose cone. 423 kilos. That's a little bit under what it should be, basically. So I wonder if I increase the length of this, will that push the heat shield down, or will this just increase the weight of the avionics? Yeah. It should technically be an upper stage, because I've got the Agena package down underneath, but obviously the Agena had its own avionics and guidance unit. So now we've got a limit of 1.25 tonnage, which matches the width. It's a bit strange, coincidental. Yeah, it looks like the actual avionics package is possibly too heavy. It could be the parachutes, or it could be the antennas. The cameras, for some reason, don't have any mass. Yes, they were 1 kilo. Sorry, correct myself. Alright, we're going to have to go with 2 chutes. I've got to try to reduce the mass of this top section. So I'm going to position this within the black line to reduce any problems that might occur from off-centre mass. And it's still not going to. So it might be a problem. Down to 100 millimeters. 620 kilos. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. It is below the line now. Just. But I still question, but it should be okay. As long as it hits the atmosphere there. Once it gets decoupled though, if anything knocks it off centre, it will result in this flipping and it will not recover because the flat side is here. It should work. We've got to achieve polar orbit anyway first, so I'm putting a large heat shield on. Will increase the weight significantly. It's doing 73 kilos now, which is significantly less than it should be. Yeah. And the thing is, I can't actually shape this avionics package to make it into like a. Actually, I should be able to now. So why do I not? Now I'm going to sort this out. I think I'm going to go with what I've got right now. Just a little. I'm going to put an extra, another extra chute on it. Go back to the 3-chute package and just see how it works. It's the centre of mass, the actual centre of mass there doesn't seem to be too high. It shouldn't flip over, but I'm just concerned if it does sort of get knocked slightly off retrograde for some reason, it could flip, and which point it won't recover because that heat shield is not heavy enough. If that centre of mass isn't low enough towards the actual heat shield to flip it back over. Not that it probably could anyway, but right, so I'll carry on with this. Okay, so this is the, well, this is a launcher. Just under 10,000 delta V. It should be enough to get to orbit, but it might not be. There's a slight mix-up with these interstage decouplers. For some reason, unless you have a decoupler directly underneath it, it doesn't actually calculate it's a separate stage above it, which is very strange. So currently right now, delta V is going to be a little bit lower. This motor here, the LR79, is 2 minutes and 45 seconds, but because of the type of tank, I'm using one of the SSTU tanks this time. And it goes in 0.5 meters, so it goes in half a meter blocks. If I go over, because it's 2 minutes and 52.2 seconds, it might be okay to overburn it. It might not be. The problem is that TWI is quite high in the first stage. And that's just the worrying sort of concern. Normally, you know, looking at more than 1.2, 1.3 TWR. Some launches though, some configurations and some payloads on modern launches can be about 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, just some. So that's roughly about 8. Have the avionics to sort on, like I said. It's just under 60 tons. So I want to add an avionics package just between the decoupler here and this stage just here. .49. That'll be a bit of a concern. So we've got 1.72. Or is that 2.94? Let's take a look. If I get rid of... No, I can't get rid of that, can I? That's for that stage. Come on, give me the decoupler, thank you. So it's 2.94. 234 meters per second at 7.7. So if I bring this down, if I bring that down to 1.5, I mean that's halfway, 50%. No, wrong way. There we go. Back down to 1, so that's 1.47 at 50% throttle, and it gives me 15.4 seconds worth of ullage time, so that should easily give the Agena enough ullage. I might actually reduce that down slightly as well in height. That's better, so that gives me 4,035 meters per second. So that's pretty good. So that's all together. That's with 236 plus 3798. The motor here, the Agena, is 2 minutes burn time. It is the BA5, which is, I believe, the original. Yeah, the BA7 is the next one, but 11, 13, 39, A and L all to come. I'm going to use the original, because right now it's the first time we're using it, so I'm going to just, yeah, okay, so 4.393 tons, so I need to increase. I believe I should already be able to do that, because there is an avionics package just here. There's also in here, there's a tank with hydrazine in and some, let's see if I can click on that. Yep, there we go, attitude jets. Very similar to what I used on the R7 for the lunar missions. Alright. That is just purely for positioning it for re-entry. Because the concern I have for the actual heat shield itself. The heat shield itself isn't had enough weight dragging the centre of mass down for the spacecraft, so it's not going to sort of tip, so it's facing the heat shield first automatically. It's what I'd prefer to do, but obviously I can't do that yet because I don't have the tech. Oh, I think that's it. Except for, so that's 3.21 tons. And that should 0.94. I need to try and shave about 200 kilos. Damn. Can I reduce that? Will that give me... Yes, I can. So it gives me 7.7 seconds and 1.33 thrust to weight ratio for ullage. And I'm inside the mass limit. Just. SRBs do weigh quite a lot. That's basically what these are. They're just SRBs. Alright, so I think that's it. Pop that stage down. Well, we're just over 10,000 Delta V now. Excellent. Of course that's going to come down, so I need to add, but that's basically it. I need to add the main stages, the actual first stage, so I need another 54 point something tons, but the booster stage avionics will, should not sort of take up too much Delta V. It shouldn't weigh too much because they're dedicated boosters. That is a second stage avionics package there, just in that. And up then that's a probe core stage avionics package. Right, so it's 15 days, 3 hours, 6 minutes, 9 seconds. So I'm going to add the avionics package in right now. Okay, so here we are. I've had a lot of messing around because I don't actually trust these interstage decouplers with the motors on them to actually work on the spacebar. So I don't know if they'll actually... I'm going to have to test those myself at the launch pad just to see exactly how to actually get them to work. Because normally I just disable the decoupling. I have a decoupler there, so this stage gets decoupled. Once you're ready for ullage for this stage, or whatever stage is above it, you use this is how I do it myself. Activate the engine. Once it's finished and this motor's running, this one inside here, the Agena motor's running, decouple both top and bottom. There is an auto decoupler. Whenever I tried to use the auto decoupling, which is, and I'll put that to true, I've had it decouple at the top rather than the bottom, but I think that's because I've had this. So I'm disabled. Well, I think it's something to do with in fact, if you have the top the decoupler staged, it will decouple from the top, then fire its motors. Then after it's finished firing its motors, it should auto decouple if you set that to true. And it's the other way around if you have that disabled and this enabled. But if you have both of these enabled, obviously it's going to decouple from both and just fire its motors and fly from whatever direction it wants to. But I have to make sure. So right now I've got it staged through the action menus instead. Set that. Obviously I've got the decouple on the bottom there, so I can let that go. Then when I'm ready, tap 1 on the keyboard in the action menu and it will fire these motors. Once I'm finished, I tap 2 and it decouples the actual decoupler stage, this with its motors attached. So I'll place that up there. So the delta V may be wrong. It should be about 10,000 delta V, but you never know. Right, everything else is exactly the same as I showed you, except obviously I've got the avionics package there, disguised as the nose section of the SSTU. This is one of the SSTU setups, its nose. So I've actually changed the nose to an adapter, and I've put on the bottom stage a mount adapter, which is a bit of a shroud. Basically it's a shroud for the main motor. I'm just going to bring down the height of this a little bit. It's a little bit too high on the pad there for my taste. Now I'm going to concentrate on doing polar orbits for the time being. So I'm going to try and get polar. So these missions are going to be polar orbit until I achieve polar orbit. I'm resisting using the R7. So I want to try and develop another type of launcher, one without the need for boosters. Especially 4 of them. Nothing wrong with it, there's nothing wrong with the R7 at all, it does its job perfectly. But it is a little bit of overkill for just orbital. So orbital missions. Now do I put some lights on? No, so I'm going to launch it on daytime. So it's only 15 days, 8 hours, 17 minutes and 27 seconds. It's only 15 days. So it's next to nothing. So I'll save that again. Right, so staging is first stage, and there's also the verniers, which only control pitch. I've noticed the pitch is actually yaw, and the yaw is actually pitch. So I've put them, I believe I've put them correctly. This isn't, it's basically it's on the side of the launcher. So it should be across the side, as in across the middle. So yaw on these should be pitch. It'll augment the pitch capacity for the main motor. Yaw's not quite as important because I'm going to roll it exactly what I do with all the launchers and then pitch it over. So I'll put the verniers on there. The verniers are actually there for the LR79's motors, vernier motors. So I've got that decoupler and got the Agena. After the interstage decoupler fires its motor, gives me ullage. Then a nose cone. Then I'm going to separate the Agena itself. I've got a little bit of a complex setup which I will show you if we get into orbit. For the RCS on here, this section just here. These attitude thrusters, I've actually put some attitude thrusters along the same axis as the side attitude thrusters, but I've placed them at 90 degrees so they're pointing backwards. That's just to, because there's no restart on this, and also I think I'm going to have to use all of the Agena's tank, so I'm not going to have any fuel for restarts anywhere, and that's just purely to control when this enters the actual atmosphere itself again. So when it's re-entering, when it's due to re-enter, I need to orientate this, as well as create ullage. Well, not ullage especially, but I need to create some thrust to bring it down how I want it to. Otherwise it could burn up in the upper atmosphere. If it takes too long to get to the atmosphere, it'll burn up, it won't have a vibrator. If it comes down too steep, as I said before, it could burn up, because the ablator will still, well, it'll fail. Basically, the heat shield will fail. You got to be just right, just coming in just at the right angle. Otherwise, you burn up, or you don't slow down far enough or enough before you hit the ground, because the chutes can't brake if you're doing, Mach 2 or 3. They won't brake if you're doing that sort of speed. Right, so that's it. Once I've got the antennas on attached already, we have these two just here, just to augment the actual avionics pack. The avionics packages on both stages should be, these three should be together, capable of keeping in touch with the ground station, but you never know, and also you could get a failure. So alright, it's enough talking. Right, set out. So it's 15 days, 8 hours, 70 minutes and 27 seconds. So let's head back out, build it, let it build I should say, roll it out and head to the launch pad and launch it. Okay, so as I said, I've taken the polar orbit, the first polar orbit contract as well. I do believe the Vandenberg launch pad should be ready. So I'm just going to check that. No. So why can I not launch from there? I wonder if I have to actually build a launcher. Yeah, please review storage. US Cape Canaveral to launch it. I see. Never mind. This will just be a first attempt anyway, but it is much easier because you haven't got to fight against the rotation of the Earth as you have to at the equator. You have to really fight at the rotation of the Earth on its axis, to go north or south. It's much easier to go pole if you further north. So Vandenberg is probably the perfect. I mean, I wouldn't say it was used because it was never used for space shuttle launches, but it's actually earmarked, chalked in, I suppose, if you like, as a polar possible for military payloads for the space shuttle to launch polar, but it was never actually used. I don't know the ins and outs of why it wasn't never used, but I don't think NASA was particularly that pleased about using its civilian launch system for military purposes. So the military, obviously the Air Force, preferred to or had to develop the X series. Right, I'm just going to take a look at Vandenberg. So I'm going to go into the tracking station and switch to Vandenberg just for a moment. Just want to check to make sure it's actually been upgraded. Okay, so at Vandenberg, and I didn't realise, I thought improved instrumentation, but that's at Kennedy, that. So VAB, yeah, so LCA Vandenberg Air Force Base Launch Pad 1 is only 58.76% through. I actually thought I'd brought that down. 1.375. Spend another. I'm going to put another 10 in. That's a bit. I don't need any more. That's 2. So that gives me 2. So that should have brought that down. Alright, I must have misread that. So it's 86 days, 14 hours, 46 minutes, and going on to 50 seconds. So it isn't ready, so that's why I can't select it to be the launch site. Oh, never mind. This is supposed to be Vandenberg. Didn't know Vandenberg was on like a... Oh. I'm probably thinking of White Sands, California, but never mind. Yeah, it's strange that I said this before. The tracking station, the VAB, the runway, the mission control all seem to upgrade to the same level that Kennedy is. But the launch pad doesn't seem to. Which is weird. So we have LCA VAB1, which is the name of the launch pad. Okay, right, I'll head back to Kennedy. Okay, so back at Florida. It's about 5 hours to run out. May just be daylight, just dawn. Let's just see what we need to do as far as a polar orbit from the equator. It takes a fair bit more energy, so it's highly unlikely it's going to work. But we can but try. I'd call it Corona 13 as opposed to Discoverer 13, because Corona is the name of the program, like I said. Alright, let's go to the launch pad.